Hoi hoi folks, good morning, good afternoon and good evening wherever you are in the world. My name's Sean, aka Uncle Frogface, and welcome to today's video. If you're new here, then welcome. If you're not new, then welcome back. And actually I'm guessing quite a few of you are going to be new, because if you haven't guessed from the title of this video, this is an official Monsterbash video. So if you followed the channel for a while, you know that I've done a few Monsterbash in the past, unofficially, just to enjoy creating something a little bit creepy around Halloween time. But this year, I'm actually officially involved. I am one of the participants for this Monsterbash. If you don't know what Monsterbash is, basically a group of artists and crafters and makers all get together and we draw from this deck of cards. There are hundreds of cards in here, and each one has a different thing, appendage, or creepy or cute little item that we can incorporate into our own monster designs, and they could be painted, sculpted, drawn, whatever the artist chooses. The group of artists this year are all amazing in their own right, and there'll be a list of them down below in the description of this video, so please do go and check them out, see what they've done, give them a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's grow this community a little bit. Let's make Monsterbash the biggest Monsterbash yet. So for those of you that don't know me, hi, hello, I'm Sean. I'm an artist, crafter, maker, mental health advocate. I like to dive into the world of art and creativity and see how it can help us, but just have a bit of fun. I review craft kits and share my tips and tricks for art and creativity and do different challenges. We just have a lot of fun here. So if that's your cup of tea, then don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Push it out to everyone else, you know, the whole YouTube algorithm thing. So whilst I do lots of different crafts, I decided, like usual with Monsterbash, that I would sculpt this creature, and I've yet to start. I'll quickly show you the cards that I drew. So we've got, cute, all very cute and nature inspired so far. Creepy. So we've got an equal mix of creepy and cute, which, if you know me, is right in my wheelhouse. If it's creepy and cute, I'm all over it. I love it. So I actually drew these cards a few weeks ago, and with everything that's been going on in life, I haven't got around to actually starting my my Monsterbash yet. So I had an initial idea, and over the few weeks that I've been waiting, that has kind of morphed and evolved, and I've done a little quick concept sketch, and this is what I'm going to be attempting to sculpt. Yeah, I've kind of got a little bit of a backstory as well, but I'll go into that as we're sculpting. So I'm going to turn the camera around, I'll show you the setup that I've got and kind of talk you through my plan of action for this, and then we can get cracking on making this exquisite corpse style monster. Wish me luck. Well, hello, welcome to my desk and this pile of seeming junk. Now I know what you're thinking, what is all of this rubbish? This is basically my sculpting stuff. I've got a whole bunch of just different bits here, just a small selection of some of the stuff that I've got. Most of this I think is tools, but we also have, very sharp pin, we also have the basics for sculpting here as well. So I have my armature wire in a couple of gauges, and I've got more stuffed in a drawer somewhere. I've got various different super sculptors. So this is the medium, this is the firm, this is the lightweight. Okay, look at that, light marshmallow, really nice. I've also got some milliput, I've got some super sculpey glue, I've got foil, and yeah, all of these tools. This is just a small collection. I've got a bunch more stashed away. So let's go through order of operation for this. So every year I do Monsterbash, I try to do something a little bit different. So the first one I did was a full solid sculpt. Last year was sculpted in pieces and then glued together to create the creature and then paint it. This year, I'm going to push myself just a little bit further. So I'm going to create an armature first from this wire. Then I'm going to sculpt on individual parts, but leave the joints unsculpted. So then I have a very basic model that I can sculpt and pose however I want it to be posed, and then sculpt over the top of that for the final render. And then, of course, painting and finishing and all that kind of stuff. I'm also going to be a little bit smart this time, because we have, if we just go back to our cards, we've got our cute ones. Cute. And then we've got our creepy ones. So we have quite a lot of spikes. We have the gaping maw with all of these spiky teeth, and then we have these spikes on the back as well. So this year, rather than doing them in Sculpey and then risk them breaking, because Sculpey can be brittle, I'm going to be pre-making them all in Milliput, which is a 2-part epoxy putty, and it sets very hard. And a good thing with this is you can put it in the oven along with Super Sculpey and there are no issues at all. So I can then put all of the teeth and the spikes into the sculpt, go for its final bake, and then I know that those bits are going to be nice and strong. I might also do the same for hands as well, just so that we've got some nice strong fingers, but we'll come to that bit later. So first, what I need to do is quickly draw out a kind of scale reference and then get to making the wire armature. So I need to go and get some pliers and some snips as well. So I'll be back in just a second when I'm set up to start creating the armature. Now listen, I know if some of you follow Monsterbash before, most people do miniatures, some people don't. I'm definitely in the latter category. I'm not a miniature sculptor, although it's something I would love to do because I love how detailed and intricate they are. No, I like to do something a little bit bigger. So this is my plan for my armature. I've also just quickly sketched this from the side. So this is the body section as well, with the head at the front. So what I now need to do is measure out my bits of wire. And all I'm going to do is, I do have a centre line. I'm going to run this up and I'm going to bend it over. I'm going to snip so that I've got that. There we go. So now I've got that piece of wire, which is the same length on both sides, and we'll do for my hands and arms. In fact, what I do need to do is just take this and create a little loop at the end, and that's so that the hands will stay in place, or at least the blobs that start the hands, and we're not going to have limbs flying off. So that's the arms. I now need to do the same for the legs, but there we go, that's our legs in place. So we've got arms, legs, and then we need to do the head section as well. What I need to do now is wrap this. So I'm going to take this wire and I'm just going to go through and join these bits together. Right, so I have gone ahead and made this, and it's very rough. You can see the joints, for instance, down here, it's still very rounded. I want to make this nice and sharp. So I'm going to go ahead and clean all of this up after I've bulked out a couple of sections. So the bits I really want to bulk out here are the torso up here and a little bit around the pelvis, and I'm going to do that with good old-fashioned aluminium or aluminum foil, and I'm just going to wrap this around and create a little bit more bulk. Important thing with any type of art, whether it's a painting, a drawing, a sculpture, the underlying foundations are what is going to dictate how well everything turns out. So spending time at the beginning making sure everything is good and you're happy with it, it's just going to make the whole process much easier. Otherwise later you're going to be battling against yourself and your future self and what you didn't do. So I'm going to bulk this out, and just to show you, foil is really easy to use. You literally just break a piece off and you can wrap it round and then start bulking up a sculpture that way. I'm a huge advocate of foil. It's cheap, it's easy to use, and it bakes perfectly in the oven. So let me bulk this up a little bit, clean all this up, and then I'll show you where we're at to start adding a little bit of clay to this. There we go, that just took a few seconds, and you can see now the armature is looking a little bit more monstrous. I love the length of these top limbs here. Now I need to bulk this out with some clay, and for the bulking out, the initial part, I'm going to be using this Super Sculpey Ultralight. I love this stuff. As I said, it's very marshmallowy. Let me grab a bit here. Look, it actually feels like marshmallow. It's very soft, it's very pliable. If you need to condition it, which you don't really need to do, it's not like other Sculpey where you need to condition it first. Very easy to do. That's already super soft. So what I'm gonna do here is just go over and start sculpting out, very basic sculpting, but just going over the body sections. You'll notice that the torso is much smaller in foil than it is on my sketch. Think about your bones inside your body. They are they're much smaller than everything else. If your bones were bigger, you would be bigger. So because we don't want this sculpt to be ballooned out and looking all puffy and fat, we're going to make sure that our armature inside fits inside our sculpt, so making sure that it's much smaller. And this is it. Basically, I'm just going to go around and start bulking out. Usually I would go ahead and use some Sculpey glue. PVA glue also works, by the way, just so that you're aware. You know, trying to make this as cheap and economical as possible. But yeah, I would use this to make it stick to the wire armature a little bit better. But because I'm going to be moving this around, I don't mind that there's a little bit of flexibility. And you can see in here, you can still see the wire. That's going to allow me to flex the model and shape it once everything is in place. So I am going to put all of these sections on, and I'll show you what this looks like before we go ahead and bake it. Okay, so very short time later, this is what we have. So you can see I've got just a little bit of clay on each of the sections, left the joints bare wire so this can all be posed afterwards. But before I put this in the oven, I'm going to go ahead and take my milliput. So for those of you that don't know, and I'm sure lots of you already do, as I said, milliput is a two-part epoxy putty that comes in two sections like this. You have this one and you have this one. You take equal amounts of each, mix them together for about 4 minutes. You really do need to knead it together well, and then you can sculpt from it, and it goes incredibly hard, and it's really good for fine details because it's very strong. But an interesting thing with milliput is it takes about 4 hours to cure as well. So once you've actually got your pieces, it takes a long time because it's a chemical reaction, this, rather than being a clay like this where you bake it. The chemicals polymerize together, and that's how you get this nice hard plasticky material. However, if you bake milliput after you've sculpted it, it cures quicker. So whilst I'm baking this, I may as well go ahead, pre-sculpt my spikes and teeth. So I'm going to sculpt those first. I'll pop those in the oven along with this, with the rest of the armature, and then that means when I come back, we'll be ready to just go ahead and start posing this and sculpting and doing all the detail work. That's where it gets exciting. Okay, so after a quick little bake and a few hours later, because I've been out for the day, we have now a nice stiff armature, and I can move this around and the clay is not going to go anywhere. I can still move bits around on the wire, which is actually not a bad thing, because now looking back at it, I think the arms are a little too long. So I'm going to do a little bit of alteration to this first, and I'm just going to break a bit of the clay down here, slide this arm up, and probably trim both the hands off, and just, or maybe just curl the wire back so that the hands are in place. But essentially this is the armature that we're going to be using. We've also got a whole jar here full of spikes and teeth and all sorts. So this is the milliput that has then been baked. So you can see over here, this is milliput that has not been baked. The colour is slightly different, so when it's baked it goes more of a yellow colour. But this over here was some excess, so I've just made some texture into it because that might be useful later to use as a texture stamp into the rest of the clay that we're using. The other thing that I need to do is to pose this once I've sorted the arms out and made them a little bit shorter. And I'm actually going to be posing it on a base this time. So I've got this. This is a piece of vivarium cork bark. And I'm going to be posing this on top of there so it actually has a stand. And the bark goes with that nature feel that I'm looking for this creature. And now that I've got everything nice and firm with all of these flexible joints, actually posing this character is much easier than I thought it was going to be, and really gives a little bit more life to it. So I'm gluing the feet in position with a little bit of super glue just to hold it in place, and then I'm reinforcing that with some super glue and baking powder just so that that sticks even firmer. You can see it's nice and firmly anchored in there. And now I can start the fun bit, which is sculpting on top of this. So I'm going to start with the feet and work my way upwards. I feel like this gives a good balance to a character. You're not going to end up with a large head or out of proportion arms. Start at the bottom, work up for your base modelling, and you generally end up with nice proportions. So that's the legs fleshed out a little bit, and then this is the rest of the body. So what I have now is a much smoother model. There we go, look at that. The alcohol is still evaporating off it, so it still looks wet in a couple of places. But now I'm going to start building up details, particularly on the arms, so some musculature and that kind of thing. So I'm just going to use standard Sculpey for this. I will also be using a little bit of liquid Sculpey as well, but if you're doing this at home, ordinary PVA glue will work, as I have said. In fact, I think I'll probably replace this with PVA glue at some point when that runs out. But yeah, now it's time to start sculpting some more details on it. You'll see I haven't really done much to the face yet, and that's because I want to get the body all sorted first, and then I'll come back to the face later and build that up. But yeah, so far so good. This is quite a fun part of the project because you're now starting to bring in real anatomy, so looking at muscles and musculature and skeletons, all that kind of stuff. It's actually really fun. I feel like I'm being a bit of a craft geek now. But you can see how just a few small details really do build up the impression of the model and allows you to build up character, and these spikes definitely help with that. Okay, so I've got a load more details on now. We've got these rib sections, a bit of spine, got more muscle on, we've got the little toe beams on the feet as well, all of the spikes obviously. So now, here's the great part about polymer clay. I'm going to essentially save where I am now. I'm going to bake this, let it go hard, and then I can sculpt over the top without fear of breaking or mushing what's underneath, and I can add more details onto it. Okay, so one quick bake later, here we are. This is what we have so far. So I'm very pleased with this. This is going really well so far. However, the face is very much a placeholder face, although I have baked it hard. And obviously we still need to do hands. So I'm feeling with the hands I may do them from Milliput instead of polymer clay, just because it's going to be much firmer and give a much nicer finish on the hands, less worry about fingers breaking. And then we've got the face. Now everything that I've done so far has been additive, it's been building up. Now I want to take some away, so I'm going to be using my Kuliao customizer tool. This is a battery operated portable engraving tool. So I have a bunch of engraving bits. I also have these, which are carving bits as well. So the engraving bits do work very well on polymer clay. Obviously the carving bits designed for wood, but are going to do very well on this as well. So essentially I want to knock some of this back. I almost want to take it back to the skull of what I want to build and then build on top of it. So I think my order of operation here is going to be knock back the face first with the engraving tool, then re-sculpt the face with all of the teeth in the mouth, then sculpt the hands in Milliput, then bake it. After that, it's just final details. So I've got my kind of wispy, cloaky wings on the back that I need to add, which can be a different technique. But yeah, we're heading towards the finish line now. There we go. Right, so now I have a much nicer base for the face. I've also drilled 2 little holes in the top for the head, which I'll secure with some wires. So now it's back to sculpting and also getting some teeth in this mouth as well, and some eyes, of course. So yeah, let's break out the clay and get working. Okay, so a little bit of sculpting later, and this is the face that we have. So you can see I've got those 2 big front teeth at the front there to make it more rabbity, and lots of sharper teeth behind. Yeah, we're in a good place. I'm gonna further go with the rabbit look with these 2 little ears. I've just made quick armatures for, so little twists of wire. So they're gonna sit in here, just to give that rabbity nature feel. And then we've got to do the hands, and then that's pretty much all the sculpting done. So we're looking in a really good place. So I'm going to get these ears, I'm just going to cover them in some Sculpey and then blend them all in, make sure they're glued into place. And then the hands, I'm going to make some wire armatures and then sculpt with the Milliput so that we get a nice strong hand. Okay, sculpting update. We're coming very close to the end of this. So we've got our ears on and almost blended in, just a little bit of work there. I've also gone ahead and added the armature for the hands. So this is just some little bits of wire, and I've used the good old baking soda and super glue trick to get those stuck in place so I can sculpt over the top. Remember, I'm going to be sculpting these with some Milliput so that we've got nice strong hands. Right now though, I have been at this for a while, so I am going to take a break because that is a very important thing to do. So I will come back to this a little bit later and sculpt these hands out, and then it'll be ready for its final bake. We may do a few final details in Milliput, but yeah, we are getting very close, guys, to coming to the painting section of this. It kind of feels like we're in the final stretch now. So this is all of the sculpting finally done. You can see we've got the hands in, we've got all the ears in, everything's been baked, it's nice and solid. Even got these little lumps on the back here. These are going to be kind of the mounts for the wings when we get to that section. But right now it is painting, so it's already quite late at night. I'm going to give this all a good coating of just good old-fashioned black acrylic paint, cover absolutely everything, obviously not the base, but absolutely everything on the sculpt itself, and then just leave that to set overnight. So we've got a really nice dry and completely finished base all in black so that we can continue painting later and work on the colour scheme that I've got picked out. So I'm going to get cracking with this, and next time you see this it will be all black and we'll be getting ready to put some colour into it. Oh, I feel much better after that sleep. And now we have a completely black model. It kind of looks like something from Bendy in the Ink Machine. I recently completed a playthrough of, so if you want to go check that out, there'll be a playlist to go and check out that whole playthrough. So I need to do basically my base painting for this, and I think for that I'm going to use a 2-colour base painting, starting with magenta and then using a yellow. It's going to give a really nice good solid gradation of colour throughout, and then I can add details on top. So think about where I want my light source to be. I think I want it coming down from this direction. So like do. So I think that's kind of where I'm going to focus my colour. Broad strokes this way with the magenta, and then make it a little bit tighter once that's dried with some of the yellow, and get a bit of gradient in there as well. So that's my next job, is all of the magenta painting. So painting for me is all about building up layers and pushing and pulling, and whether that's painting on a model or a sculpture like this, or whether it's a canvas, I think building up layers and building up depth is really important. So you can see as we go through here, I start off with the base magenta, then I come in with some yellow after that for some lighting, then I knock that back with a bit more magenta, and it's all of that back and forth, back and forth. When I'm happy with the base colours, then it's all about going in for those details. And for this, I thought we'd go for a nice acid green for kind of the fingernails and the gums and the areas around the eyes, and a nice bright, almost sorbet yellow for the eyes themselves, just to give a little pop of light in the darkness. But this paint job I'm actually very happy with. Okay, so now all of the painting is done, there is one final thing left to do. This is my take on a fairy, and fairies need wings, although this creature's wings are going to be more like a cape that flails around. I'm not sure he's actually using them to fly, but I still want to give that effect. So I have this here, which is actually, if I open it up a bit, it's a spider web tablecloth that I got from the pound shop. Proof, if ever it was needed, that crafting doesn't need to cost an absolute fortune. So what I'm going to do is cut out a section of this and use this as the wing cape section in two parts to glue here and here on the back of the model. I'm just going to glue it down with some hot glue. So this is my Sticky Pal from Coolio. This is a battery operated portable glue pen that just uses standard glue sticks cut down into small sections. It's an incredibly useful tool for small jobs like this. So just like the customizer that we used earlier, if you want any of these Coolio tools, there's a link down below. You can get a discount on any of the Coolio products on their website. Just follow the link, use my code, I get a small kickback that helps the channel, so very much appreciated. But I'm going to go ahead and get this part done. So we've got some big scissors over here. I'm just going to cut out what I need and glue it into place, and then we're basically done. So next time you see this, we'll do some beauty shots, we'll get everything nicely set up, and I'll tell you a little bit more about this creature, and then we'll be wrapping things up. Allow me to present the Thistle Pixie. This small fairy creature lurks in the in-between places of the forest, between branches, under leaves, waiting for any unsuspecting child to walk through the forest, its bright eyes illuminating the area around it, giving false hope and false light in the darkness. But as you draw nearer, those venomous spines do their work. You want to have a little touch, a little feel, but before you know it, you are under the spell of the Pixie. You will never escape the forest. That's my creature for Monsterbash 5, guys. I have had an absolute blast doing this. It's always fun to do Monsterbash, and it's been really lovely working with other artists and getting to know them and just generally chatting about things that are going on. As I said, please do check the description for this video. There will be a list of all of the artists who are participating, their YouTube channels. Go and check out their videos. There are some amazing people in there. Show some love, give them a subscribe, give them a like and a follow. As always, I really hope you've enjoyed today's video, and until next time, goodbye.